wrong with that.
Push him, baby. Yeah!
All right, that was a sneak peek of what we're going to see in the new season of The Real Housewives of New York City. Season 6 starts airing on March 11th on Bravo.
Because there's so many wild cowboys in the streets of New York. But first, we have Real Housewife herself, Carole Radziwill, joining us on the couch to talk about the new season and her new book, The Widow's Guide to Sex and Dating. Welcome. First off, I was reading the book last night. Owie, ow, ow. I think I burnt my fingers. This is rather, the writing's great, very punchy, but a very kind of adult material here too.
Well, it is a book about sex and dating, so we do get into sex a little bit, but I feel like people are really always interested in sex, right?
Of
We're
course.
always doing
That's
that.
what keeps it, yes, absolutely.
But also the way you approach it too, it's at different periods in people's lives, and also different events, rather dramatic events where we find these people too.
Yeah. Well, Claire, the main character, is recently widowed, and she's very young, and but it really is. Two things. Definitely not a guide by any stretch of the imagination, as you can tell when you read it. I just love the title.
I do too. Yeah, it makes sense though.
And it sort of stuck. And I started talking. I mean, it was always the working title, and then I started talking about it on the show, that reality show. And then once I started saying it on that show, then it really stuck.
That's like saying you're on a diet, and if you tell enough people, then they're going to be like, you're on a diet.
Yeah.
So that's why you're like, I have to make this the title of the book.
And it was very catchy, and also it's really a comedy. It's not. I started writing it 10 years after my husband passed away, so I was in a much more whimsical state of mind, and I had found kind of the absurdity and the humor in the absurdity of life, and I kind of give that to Claire very early on in the story.
Well, but it's right there. It's comedy and tragedy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tragedy right
From
out
the beginning. Exactly.
Well, her
the first
husband
couple of
does
pages.
die, but he dies when he gets hit on the head with a Giacometti statue,
which
was flung 20 stories from there because he left after he left a tip on a cup of coffee. I mean, the timing of everything was very.
Yes. I'm sorry. In the first couple of pages too. Yesterday, I was going through my day wondering the what ifs. I mean, you just bring up these really great points that people can take with them.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a running theme in my life anyway. And my first book was a little bit what if this happened and this happened, and what if. The weather was better the day that John was flying that plane, and so that sort of it does permeate my thinking. So when I was writing the scene about Charlie, the husband, walking down the street, and he stops to get a cup of coffee, and like, well, what if he didn't stop to get that cup of coffee? He wouldn't have been at that exact place when the Giacometti fell out of. But it really was, the effect was just to make it much more comical and let the reader know that this is not. She doesn't go through the 5 stages of grief. I kind of skip immediately to acceptance and like, oh crap, now what?
This is not a textbook.
No, not at all.
In your personal life, are you haunted by the what ifs, or do you just embrace the what ifs?
Now I embrace it. Now, I've learned just from my life experience I don't really sweat the small stuff or the big stuff, and I really did find a deep sense of humor about life and all our ideas that we can plan what we're going to do, and of course it doesn't always work out that way. It mostly never works out. So I'm much more free-spirited than I was when I was younger. And,
well, we get to see a lot of you being free-spirited on the show, on Real Housewives. So yeah. So talk to us about this season. What can we expect?
Well, I mean, you can expect the usual, like, screaming, crying, and drinking.
The teaser, the leg. What happens to Aviva's leg? It's just laying in the... Oh, we have a clip.
Oh, we have a clip.
Let's take a look at it.
Did you learn that in prison? Don't talk about my friends. Are you fucking crazy?
The woman is deranged.
You're a psychopath. A psychopath?
Yes, you have no soul.
Where were you?
Don't touch me.
What is most surprising to me is seeing you as a part of a conflict, because I would never think,
I'm not a confrontational person, but the
leg. What is with the
what's the deal with the leg?
I can't. I rewound that 6 times.
We're not pulling your leg here either. I mean,
I think because the shoe is still on it, it looks very
it was
shocking.
startling. Yeah. So, but we're going to see you getting some confrontations this season.
The drama finds me. Aviva says things that I find incredibly insulting, nasty. I don't think the audience will be surprised, and I tell her exactly what I think about it.
Good for you, yes. And are we also going to see you dating? I love to see. I want to see what's going on in your love life.
I do. It's really hard to date on camera. It's super awkward, and but I do. You know, I'm not in a relationship when the show starts to film. We filmed last summer, and yeah, so it's hard to really date on camera. It's really hard to watch yourself.
It's hard to date, period.
I mean, they got to be in on it, right? I mean, they got to know there's a camera guy right there, right?
Yeah. So it's exactly. It has to be someone who is down with being filmed and
not a felon.
But then, aren't you concerned about some of the people who are down to be filmed? Because then you wonder, are you using this as an opportunity or?
It usually doesn't work out, the dating, you know. So, but it makes for fun TV, and I did meet some really fun, nice men that became friends, and so.
Okay.
I'm endlessly intrigued by the fact that you people invite cameras into your lives and you share the stories. But I want to ask you, does it get easier over time? Do you kind of ignore the cameras more?
You do. I never felt completely comfortable. I'm always aware of the cameras, but you do when you're. For me, what you see on TV is what you get in real life. There's not acting or like overly dramatic about things that really I don't feel passionate about. So I just try to act as natural as like what would I do in my real life, with other friends, and I try to like stick to that philosophy. I'm not just going to over dramatize something just for the sake of
a storyline, or maybe getting airtime. But and then there's also a new housewife. There's a new one.
Oh yeah, Kristen.
So what's her story? Oh, you were a new housewife though. So
last season,
year,
yeah, she's great.
Is she?
I think the audience is going to love her. She's gorgeous. No one wants to even stand next to her and scenes.
You're like, I don't want to shoot with her.
Also a little nutty, she has an Elvis fetish, which is hilarious and real. Like it's
Really?
Yeah. She's going to be. I think she's a really great addition to the cast. I think the audience is really going to love her.
Awesome. Well, the book is great. I'm halfway through it, and we want everybody to pick it up. So, Carole Radziwill, thank you so much for joining us. And The Widow's Guide to Sex and Dating. It's on sale now, and the new season of The Real Housewives of New York City premieres on Tuesday, March 11th on Bravo. Check it out. Thanks
for being here with lots of fighting.